I'm your host, Shawn Soole. I'm looking forward to today's episode. I have another TikTok brethren, which seems really weird to be saying as a middle-aged white dude that you've got someone on TikTok that you can look up to and have it as an influence. And this guy is. I'm just doing a few little tweaks here and there so that I can get people to be able to comment. Come on, Facebook, you're killing me. There we go. But I've got Lucas Assis. I'm going to butcher that last name forever because my S's never sound like S's. They sound like Z's. He is a bit of a TikTok phenom, a massive proponent of being against celebrity tequila, which I think we all should be. And I really want to get down to the nuts and bolts of how TikTok has sort of changed the direction and the trajectory of his life and his career of the last year, as well as get into some pandemic stuff. And we'll go from there. So thanks for joining me, buddy.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
You've really I started doing some research and you've been doing TikTok a little bit longer than I have, but I started doing some research on you, and the interviews and the appearances and stuff over the last couple of months have just been mental.
Yeah, it really has. It's been weird. I'm still getting used to all that.
You had VinePair literally did an article just on you.
Yeah, yeah, that and celebrity tequila. That was crazy. And after I called out Kendall Jenner about her tequila, there was articles on Yahoo News and LA Magazine and InStyle. It's just been crazy.
I want to get into celebrity tequila because I have the same opinion as you. But let's kick it off. How did you get your start as a bartender? Because you are a bartender by trade. You're not just you're not a TikTok bartender. You're an actual bartender by trade who discovered TikTok.
Exactly. I like that. I got my start on the restaurant business pretty much right out of high school. I graduated and I was looking for a job. And I remember that I was applying to, I didn't know what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? I wanted something to get me through school or whatever. And my dad was friends with some people that were higher up at the Houston's or Hillstone restaurant group. They're all over the country. And they said, Lucas, just go there and apply. And I got a job there as a host. And I loved it because, you're making, especially right out of high school, pretty decent money. And you have the work hours that you want. So I kind of just fell in love with the restaurant business. And as soon as I turned 21, I just kept bugging them like, hey, I want to bartend. And kind of like a pretty cliche thing, a bartender one day just didn't show up. So they came up to me and they said, hey, you've been asking, do you want a bar back? And I was like, absolutely. So they gave me a 30-minute course of how to cut fruit, how to get ice from the machine, the basic bar back stuff. And they threw me on a Wednesday night shift, which was super busy, but it was really good to learn, the speed, especially at Hillstone restaurants. It's speed and quality are the main thing you're looking for. So after that, I became a service well bartender. And that really, I think, taught me the classics that the restaurant was looking for. But again, the speed, right? I think you have 3 minutes from the guest ordering to it hitting the table before the appetizers, right? It's super structured. So that taught me how to make the classics fast. And then I decided to leave that and go to a bar that had more of a craft cocktail scene. And that's where I got my training for craft cocktail. I trained under a bartender that's really famous here in LA. His name is Matt Biancanello. He focuses more on fresh ingredients. Yeah, he's awesome. Eat your drink. So he taught me all about, not just craft spirits, but infusions and craft cocktails and the history and fresh ingredients and all of that. That I was, fortunate enough to work for a company that was so structured, the most corporate, but then I went to a restaurant that was more one owner under a really good bartender that taught me pretty much everything I know. And there was a lot of bartenders that were working within that bar group, when we opened the restaurant, that really taught me how to bartend. So I was fortunate enough to learn that way.
Yeah, the whole speed thing is sometimes really interesting because I have my own rules about speed, 2 to 5 minutes. You're making money, guests are happy, you're happy, everybody's loving it. 5 to 7, you're treading water. No one's upset, no one's overly impressed. And then after 7 minutes, that's just when you're full, you're losing money. You're losing money, and craft cocktails and speed always seems like a bit of an oxymoron. People see craft cocktails as like, oh, you got to take your time and be patient and do this. And if your drink takes 15 minutes, you're going to be okay. And you're just like, but that means that someone can only have one drink an hour when you should be able to get them two. Like, this is crazy. So fast forward through your career and everything. And then the pandemic hits. And everybody in our industry just got completely like went from great jobs, great money to nothing. Like it went from 100 to 0 real quick. How was that for you in LA?
It was pretty much that. And it's funny. Me and my wife were actually in Colombia when everything shut down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like both of us, like kind of a work to travel. One of the things that made me fall in love with bartending was the ability that I had to travel whenever I wanted. Right. So we were in Colombia. We weren't really believing that, we're one of those people that like COVID is not that serious and not going to shut everything down. We went, and then as the trip went on, we're like, oh my God, it's okay. This is getting serious. And then the day we got back, we were like, I remember going to the airport, coming back to LA and saying, hey, I think I might be out of work for like a month at least, And so when we came back, I remember I picked up a shift, and then my manager called and said, guys, we're shutting down. The city shut it down. So it was definitely a shock coming from a vacation and then not working, and it was kind of sad too, because I was like, man, I didn't even get to like have a last shift. I just left and I never got to come back to the job.
I remember I was in Vegas. I was in Vegas, and that was in like late February, and nobody was talking about it. And Vegas was just being Vegas. And I did a couple of podcast episodes in Vegas with like Francesca LaFerroni and Tobin Ellis and stuff. But by the time I got back, everything shut down. So I actually did 2 parts, both of those episodes, and had to re-interview them like pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, and it was only 2 or 3 weeks apart. And so it was really weird that like at the 24th of February, nobody was talking about it, and by like the 7th of March, everything was shut down.
Yeah, that's odd. I need to listen to that. That's crazy.
Yeah, so you listen to the first part where they're like super happy and jovial about their venues being open and doing this and this and this, and then the second part is everything that happened post-lockdown.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. So for me, it was that, and then decided like, okay, what am I going to do? And I've always loved going to social media and uploading stuff, but I didn't have a following. It was stuff that was just more for me and family, but I always liked to film and to take pictures. And then I had a couple of friends that was like, hey, you should really like just post some tutorials on Instagram. So I started just posting stories. Like the first one was like how to make an old fashioned, all with pictures and stuff. And that led to a little bit of a following, and people were like, hey, do you sell these? Can we get a batch? Especially during that time of quarantine where everybody just wanted to drink all day, right? All social norms were gone. So people were like, waking up saying, hey, can I get that old fashioned? So I shouldn't be saying this because I know it's illegal now, but I stopped. I started selling to-go cocktails.
Wow.
So I just started posting, hey guys, I have like a margarita, a paloma, and an old fashioned, and order on Tuesday. And that created a really nice following of people all over LA reaching out to me that they wanted batch cocktails. So then I started doing something that every Tuesday I'd put out a new menu. So it kept me on my feet because I was creating cocktails, during that week. So I would change completely the menu every Tuesday and tell them like order by Wednesday, and then we start delivering by Thursday. So for like 2-3 months of the pandemic, I was delivering cocktails from 10 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon in LA, from like West Covina to Santa Monica, which now is impossible to get because then there was no traffic,
Yeah.
So I was getting from one side to LA and the other in like 30 minutes. Now it's going to take 3 hours. But it just kept me really busy, and especially the creative side of making cocktails. So researching more about it. And it was really like I'd come home at 5 and me and my wife would juice lemons and limes until like midnight, and then I'll make all the cocktails for the next day, and then start delivering them. So it kept me busy, and it was a fun time, especially because it kept me like almost like as a real job. But as things started to open up, I I stopped doing that, of course.
Yeah, so as soon as they can actually start making visits and saying hey to everybody, that you're like, this might be
Exactly.
getting a little bit shady now. Getting an
Exactly.
untouchable style, prohibition style raid in your
It's exact.
apartment.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a real life bootlegger. I got this bootlegger tattoo.
So for everybody out there, like I've talked to a lot of people about TikTok, and a lot of people still don't understand it. But I think overall, there's not a lot of brands out there that understand social media at all, and people who don't really get social media. Like, same thing as what you said about Instagram. You post pictures and videos for your family and for your friends. Like, it's never a strategy. And so, how'd you fall into TikTok? Because I think our stories are pretty similar in the whole TikTok realm.
Oh, really? So as that following on Instagram started happening, and people were following me mostly to buy cocktails, and I was still posting tutorials. So I had one that was like how to build your home bar and those things. And I had a friend of mine that told me, "Hey, you should really check out TikTok." And at that point, I was like, "Man, TikTok is for like teenage white girls to like dance on on this platform. Like, I'm not gonna download TikTok. I'm too old for that." And then she was like, "No, no, no. Like, check out TikTok. There's this awesome bartending side of TikTok that is growing, and there's this like side of TikTok that is all about learning. And I feel like your content will be really good there." So I downloaded TikTok and I followed some of the bartenders, like Bar Chemistry, and Coin Twitch Trick, and I was like, okay, cool. These guys are teaching people, and I saw the engagement, right? Everybody asking questions. So I started posting some videos here and there, and I like kind of put a little bit of like some travel videos, and that didn't do really well. And then I started just posting cocktail videos because that's what I like to do, and I saw that following just getting like just more and more every day. And like you said, the engagement for me was just like I wasn't used to that. The engagement on TikTok is crazy. So that was really, and then I saw that like, okay, this can be something. So it's like, you get your first 1,000 followers and then your first 2,000 followers. I'm like, oh, wow, that was like 5 videos,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you have that first video that I was like, oh, okay, this can do really well. And then, yeah, I really love that learning side of TikTok,
Do you like talking about engagement? Like, it's crazy how the algorithm on TikTok, if you answer all the comments on all your videos, how it just recirculates and recirculates and recirculates way better. I'm actually building a seminar right now about TikTok and how Facebook and Instagram engagement doesn't work the same way. Like, because there's just so much data and so much algorithms with Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. That it's hard to be discovered. Yeah. But TikTok, and I did the same thing. Like, I started doing TikTok like July last year.
Okay.
But I didn't post much. Mm-hmm. I was just watching. And so I saw the same thing as you. It was like there's not a lot of craft bartenders on this app. Like, there's the college bartenders doing like blue drinks and shots and all that sort of stuff. But no one's really looking into the craft cocktail side of things. So with that, like, you're part of the TikTok Creators Fund as well, aren't you?
I'm actually not. I never joined it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But you've done work for TikTok though. I think I saw a post that you were doing like a cocktail class for the TikTok guys in LA.
Yeah. So that actually that was from a friend that works with TikTok, and then
crazy
he put me in that. Yeah, but I never joined the Creator Fund.
How come?
Just because I've heard from other creators that if you're doing something within alcohol, because TikTok sometimes feels like TikTok doesn't like that. They can also hinder your view counts if you're on the Creator Fund. So I never requested to join. I've thought about it, but I haven't done it. Do you recommend it? Is that something that you
I can't do it in Canada. Canada doesn't have the Creators Fund. So I've contemplated, but I think I've been asked a couple of times by the app if I want to monetize, and then I get bounced because of the alcohol thing. Yeah. Like, the liquor thing is a difficult thing.
Yeah.
So why agave? What was on a personal level, what was that drew you to agave? Because obviously you were getting good engagement and stuff with cocktail things, but definitely your tequila and your mezcal and your agave videos are like what you're known for now.
Yeah.
What was it about agave that made you gravitate towards it?
So as I started bartending, of course, I just fell in love with craft spirits, right? And whiskey was my first introduction to craft spirits, and really fell in love with whiskey. And then because of my wife, who her family is Mexican, we would go to Mexico, 3, 4 times a year before the pandemic. And I really fell in love with Mexico, the culture of Mexico, the music, the food, of course, the drinks. So I really fell in love with that. And then I started working next to the executive chef at my other job. That was one of the most knowledgeable guys about agave spirits. This guy was friends with like Guillermo Salazar from Fortaleza. He's friends with Ron Cooper from Del Maguey. So I kind of like just became a sponge around him and just ask all kinds of questions, and he would take me to tastings. So that's where my knowledge for agave spirits came from, and my love for agave spirits came from my wife. So I had my feelings about it, but on TikTok I didn't really start sharing so much. It was more about cocktails. And then I think it was like somebody asked me about one of the celebrity tequilas. I don't remember if it was Terramana or something like that. And then I made a video where I said, you shouldn't buy celebrity tequila. And that's something that on my personal level, I was saying that for, a few years. So I just thought, let me just make this video on TikTok. And that was the first video that got like over 150,000 views within the first day, So I was like, oh, wow. Like, I don't even think I had like 5,000 followers at the time. So then I saw that, like, okay, there's definitely a market for this. People are interested in agave content. So then I went and I made one about you shouldn't buy celebrity mezcal, and that did really well. So then I started making palomas and margaritas, and I saw that there was this like thirst for people to know about tequila, and people are very passionate. I think especially like children of immigrants in the US have this like passion for celebrating their culture, which I absolutely love. But they all have their favorite tequilas. And here comes this guy that's saying, hey, the tequila that you've been drinking, that your dad's been drinking, that's not good anymore. Let me show you different ones, So it was like either people hated me for saying that, or they were super interested in saying, okay, then show me the ones I should be drinking. And I think that just like took the algorithm all the way up. So once I saw that there was this market on TikTok, I was like, okay, this is what I love to do. This is, the side of bartending that I love. I'm going to focus on this. And I think that's how it became this. I'm known as the agave guy on TikTok, right?
The guy. So I'm curious about this one because you do post unabashedly raw opinions about a lot of tequilas and stuff. How do you deal? Because I've been pretty open with like online bullying and trolls and stuff like that because. I usually post, like I usually use people when they start giving me shitty comments. I actually take screenshots and then post on my other Instagram about how to deal and show empathy and stuff.
Yeah.
And mainly people go, well, you shouldn't feed, like the whole thing is don't feed the trolls. But I'm like, yeah, but this guy's probably, if this guy does it to a 40-year-old white dude, he's probably going to do it to a 17-year-old girl or a 15-year-old kid who then all of a sudden just doesn't want to do any content creation anymore and puts them off actually following their passion. How do you deal with the people who obviously have a negative opinion about, like when you say don't drink celebrity tequila, I'm sure people are like, oh, but no, I love Casamigos and da 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 da. How do you deal with that?
I think it's a little bit like you. I gotta say that most response that I get from videos like that are people that are curious. And they're like, oh, I thought Casamigos was really good. Or I thought Terramana was really good. And then I showed them the other side of it. But of course, like yesterday, I had a guy saying, I unfollowed you because how dare you talk bad about this brand. So then with those things, I kind of killed them with kindness, like, hey, I'm not hating here. Drink what you like. Yeah. I'm just stating some facts that are within that brand. What I'm saying is not a lie. It's not my feeling. It's facts. But if you don't want to follow me, that's completely fine. You don't have to. But there is like the bullying and stuff, like you said. I think it's absolutely true. Like, if they're doing to people like us, they're doing to people that are, more, they're going to feel that more than we are, the negative comments. So sometimes I call them out. Sometimes I get into little, back and forth arguments, especially when it was like about Kendall Jenner and stuff. There's like people feel really passionate about them for some reason. And I was just like, trying to be civil, but also challenging them and calling them out when they're just being negative. But I love what you do. I think that's what we need to call the trolls, because I think people hide. They've been hiding so much, under the anonymity of the internet and saying what they want, and people need to be held accountable for what they say on the internet as well.
Yeah, my usual one is how much cocktails cost. Oh, cocktails cost so much, and you have to go. I had one just the other day. It was like, oh, that $15 for a daiquiri is way too much money. And I'm like, well, in BC we pay 2 ounces of Havana Club 3 is $2.30. The fresh strawberries, the strawberry syrup, the lime juices all cost up, and then this is your percentage. Oh, that's still too much. I'm like, well, where do you think all the other costs come from? Crazy
Exactly.
people.
Yeah,
Let's talk about celebrity tequila. Because you got Kendall Jenner right now. You've got obviously The Rock, and then you've got Villa One from Nick Jonas
right.
as well. Have you done the Villa One? Have you done anything with the Villa One yet?
No, I haven't done that. No.
It was crazy when it hit Canada, when it hit BC. There was a 1 bottle limit for
Oh,
Terramana
really?
and Villa One at the liquor store. Like
Really?
our government liquor store said 1 bottle limit.
Wow.
And you're just
Wow.
like, it's good, but like, come on, like a 1 bottle limit for a $55 bottle of tequila.
It
So
shot $55 too. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Oh.
So where do you see because it is, I think agave Mexican spirits have a very different, I suppose, culture behind why we can't have these celebrity spirits. Like for whiskey, for bourbon whiskey and stuff like that, I think celebrity brands are good. Gins are fine, but there is something about the Mexican spirit category that definitely has a little bit more in-depth, ingrained cultural element to it. Explain to people who are listening, like what you don't love about the celebrity tequila brands that are coming out, and they're being pretty prolific right now. There's a lot.
Yeah,
There's
there's so
always
many.
more.
Yeah, yeah. So like every month, that's some other celebrity comes with a tequila, right? So pretty much it's because of the main ingredient that's used to make tequila or mezcal or anything, right? The agave. It's not like bourbon where you can have, there's not a very finite amount of corn or juniper berries for gin. So like you said, for gin, for whiskey, they can be good. For tequila, this is a plant that takes 9 years to mature, 7 to 9 years to mature. When you're talking about mezcal, these are some of the agaves that take 30, 40 years to
35,
mature.
yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. So when a celebrity is coming in and they just want to make money, they're then harvesting. They found new ways, not the celebrities, granted, right? It's the people in these mega distilleries found new ways to make tequila, which means that they're doing things with like diffusers, which is this giant machine that like extracts all the sugars with hot water. Sometimes it doesn't even cook the agave. So they can use 3-year-old agaves and then just rely on chemicals that the governing body of tequila allows them to use, less than 1% of chemicals while making a tequila, and not tell us anything about it. So all these things just put such a stress on the agriculture of this plant. If agave was like corn where you can grow it 3-4 times a year, it'd be different than something that you have to wait 7 to 9 years to mature. And then you have to rotate the crops because the agaves put so much stress on the soil. So then if you can't grow the agaves anymore, then you're putting stress on the actual agriculture of this plant that's like sacred to Mexican culture for thousands of years, right? Like there are signs that Mexicans have been eating agave for 9,000 years. And then for people to come in from the outside and say, I just want to make money, so I'm just going to put all this stress on this agriculture of this plant because I want more money. And if we don't change these things, and it's not like something that I'm just saying, oh, we got to be woke and we got to be careful. No, if we don't take care of this, agaves are like in traditional tequila, they have their days numbered. We're just not going to have it anymore because they're just not going to have enough soil to grow them. We're not going to have enough time to wait for the agaves to grow. And we're just going to be, we're getting more and more used to tequilas that are done with additives like Casamigos, for example. That caramel that everybody talks about, that's a chemical that's put there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think I'm so passionate about tequila, because if we don't do something about it, in the next decades, it is going to be gone. And that's not something that I'm just saying. It's things like the Tequila Interchange Project, that's like studying the scientific parts of the agave plant. They're the ones that are trying to, bring awareness to this issue. Because of the agave plant being, so stressed, and they want them to grow so fast, all the agave plants in Jalisco, they're all clones. So if there's one pandemic within the agave industry, they're all dead. and we can combat that by planting wild blue agaves. That's like letting the plants flower, right? So when the agave flowers, it dies. So no, the brands are not doing that. They're just like grow, 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 grow. But if we let, they're saying now 5% of the agave plants to flower so bats can pollinate around the states, we'll have better DNA in these plants and better plants. So that's why I'm a little bit more passionate about agave spirits and why it's important to bring sustainability and awareness to the issue.
Do you think the CRT needs to step up a little bit more in the way of, obviously the US is a massive market for tequila, and the influences of how the US is drinking tequila, like Casamigos, additives, that sort of thing, influences the CRT's decisions on rules and regulations and stuff like that? Do you think that they'll ever just put their foot down and be like, no more vanilla? Like, I tasted a tequila the other day, a rep dropped it off. I'm not going to say the brand. Yeah. It was like $110 bottle for the Añejo, and it tasted like someone took Hornitos Reposado and added an ounce of vanilla essence to it. And it was just like, I'm not paying $100. This is sticky and gross. My tongue felt nasty afterwards. And I'm just like, this is not worth $110 a bottle. What the hell it's a pretty bottle, but it's definitely not worth $110. Do you think you'll ever see the CRT make these sort of rules to sort of stop this sort of like influence from the US in the way of brands and stuff coming in and sort of naming the rules?
Right. I really wish I could say yes. But I think at the end of the day, money talks, and there's so much money in tequila. So I don't know. I really wish they would, and I'm like I've said before too, I'm not saying here that we should only drink traditional tequilas and everybody should care. I know that there's always going to be big brands, and there's the good side of big brands as well, like Don Julio and those brands that showed people tequila like all over the world. Get that. But the fact that there is no like transparency in the industry, like the fact that you can use 1% of additives. I know that additives are used in pretty much everything we eat and drink, right? I'm not being, I know that. But I think for tequila, it's like, well, then just tell us. I'm not saying don't do it. Just put it on the bottle that this one is made with 1% additives. And for people that are listening, they're like, oh, 1% is not a lot. When you think of how concentrated these chemicals are, it's a lot. Like you said, sometimes they feel like a vanilla bomb. And that's because that's what people are drawn to, right? They're like, oh, the 1942 tastes like vanilla. So then these brands that are coming in, they just put all the vanilla in there because they want to imitate that. So I think that there's got to be some changes in the industry, and I think some changes are coming. It's either going to be more brands caring about sustainability, because I think we're gotten to a point that sustainability also helps to sell, right? People are caring. So I think we're going to see some more brands. And I've been hearing the rumors in the industry that some brands are coming out with like stronger sustainability efforts, which is really cool. As far as the CRT changing everything, I don't know, and it depends on who you ask. The CRT rules and the additives, like those are the things that kill tequila. And there's still time to save mezcal. So I hope the mezcal governing body, sees what's happened to tequila and they stop that from happening with mezcal. But I hope they do, but I don't think they will. I think to answer your question.
So have you had any celebrity tequilas reach out to you and be like, hey, man, we want to change your mind on celebrity tequila? I know you got into a little bit of hot water with Terramana. Those guys are really on board. I know the marketing firm behind that one and the guys behind it. So they're really plugged in. Do you have a lot of hit ups from agave? I know that you get presents all the time. Like, I'm always jealous. I'm like, no one can ship anything from the US to Canada. I'm like, come on, where's the love for me?
I know we got to make something within Canada and the US to be able to ship things there. I haven't had a lot. I would say that. And I also think that comes from me being, like you said, unabashed about certain things. But I also always try to be careful that I'm not hating. I'm just stating facts. But I also don't want to it's my opinion on certain things. So I've not a lot, but I have had a couple of brands. And I think also like one of the latest videos that I talked about the 818 tequila, I listed a couple of things. And I said, look, if your brand is doing these things, then hit me up and let's talk. So I've had a couple of brands that were like, hey, we're hitting you up. Let's talk. So, which has been really cool because I love that fact that they're like, okay, we're listening. How can we, do better? And I love that. And I feel like somebody with like an influence of, certain celebrities that can come in and bring awareness to this issue, it would be great for the industry, for everybody else. So I have had a few, but I'm not to the point that I'm like, yes, let's talk about it. And I love this. We're getting there. We're working on certain things behind the scenes. Yeah.
And the fact that they're even paying attention to TikTok, sometimes you're just like, oh, this is because brands have no idea sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to talk too much about celebrity tequila. With the Kendall Jenner one, there was a lot of talk about her getting hit a little bit harder, being a young female entrepreneur, than your Casamigos, than your Nick Jonases, than your Breaking Bad guys with the mezcal.
Right.
Like the Breaking Bad guys seem to have been Teflon. They didn't seem to have any sort of kickback on their brand of mezcal. And of course The Rock and stuff like that. And I know The Rock is a massive tequila fan. Like he is an absolute fan. Right. Do you think there was a little disparity there when it came to Kendall Jenner's brand purely because she was a female entrepreneur?
It's a great question. And I think yes. I think there was a level of that. I think a lot of people are, I don't know if it's threatened or something like that, a lot of men, right? About a woman coming into the industry. And I think even with all the controversy that's happened, she's probably going to outsell a bunch of other tequilas there. And it's crazy because she's getting all this publicity and stuff, and she only sells in California. She hasn't even started selling other states in the US yet. So once she goes, countrywide and then worldwide, this thing is it is. So I think yes, which is sad. I wish it wasn't, but I can't hide between the fact that it's not. But I did say, like on the Vine Pair, that with me it wasn't really that. I think also it helps the fact that her family has a history of culture appropriating. Mm-hmm. They have a history of these things, right? So people they have more passion about these things. And when they see that happening with Kendall Jenner, they're more vocal about it. So I think it was a combination of everything. And I think, honestly, like her PR was just not like, I don't know who, like, I almost felt bad. I was like, I feel like they hate you. What group, like, where did you guys test this that everybody said, yes, this is the ad you should go with, especially in the climate that we're going with. So I think there's a combination of everything, and yeah. So I try to give my content to be about those things, but just to be about how she's making the tequila, where she's making the tequila, and why I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I love that when I go to tastings and stuff, I have Tequila Matchmaker on my phone. And so you go up to a table and there's a new tequila and you look at the nom number and you're like, okay, cool. I'm just going to find out where this is. And I can't remember what it was. I think it was Tavi, Tavi. And it's a crystal cup bottle with a fun stopper and everything, like same sort of price point, $100 a bottle. And I Tequila Matchmaker the nom number. I'm like, dude, this is the same distillery as the AK-47 and the shotgun tequilas you get at Walmart in Cancun. The AK-47 bottles that you get at Walmart. Yeah. Like, can you tell me that juice is different for me to be paying for that? And they're like, that's interesting. We didn't know that. I'm like, look, this is all the brands that are made at this distillery. Like, look at this. Like, and there's like two donkeys tequila, and you're just like, all the brands that end up in Walmart and every like grocery store in Cancun is made at this one distillery. So what's your plan for the next 6 months? What's your plan with obviously just going along with doing TikTok every day and stuff like that? Like, what's your long-term plan for the next 6 to 12 months?
So to be honest, I'm figuring it out. I think one thing that I'm finalizing everything now is I'm going to start offering online tastings, in-person tastings. So I'm excited about that. And I've had a lot of people ask about it. So it'll be something that I will offer a class on like a Friday night, and then I'll put out, for all my followers to join if they like. I am talking with like restaurants in LA where I'm going to be providing tastings for, guests there. I'm also training bartenders in restaurants here in LA. So restaurant owners are reaching out to me to go give a class to their bartenders there as everything opens and people have this thirst for tequila. especially here in LA. So that's going to a point that I really like, because I love bartending. I love agave spirits, but I also love the educating side of it. So it's been exciting. I am, starting to work with some consulting with brands, like I said before, brands that are asking me like, hey, we want to start a particular brand, but we want to do it right. So pointing brands in the right directions and things they should be paying attention to, which is really cool as well. And I hope, I'll be bartending soon as well. Even if it's something that I'll have like one shift or two shifts a week somewhere here in LA, I just love to be behind the stick again and have the relation. A lot of what I learned and have the relationship with like reps and brands and stuff. I miss that, and the guests as well. So it's been exciting, but yeah, my wife is like become almost my manager. She's so good at organizing things,
Mine's like that as well.
Is she? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the idea guy. I just like, oh, you should do this, and she's like, okay, let's bring it back and like organize this so you can reach all those things. So it's been really cool. It's been exciting. But I think for the next 6 months will definitely be more in the educating side of agave spirits.
And I noticed that you did a couple of in a video the other day about Pappy Van Winkle. And do you think that you're going to really focus on agave and agave cocktails on TikTok going forward because they seem to resonate better with people, or are you going to keep changing it up?
I want to change it up. I love the fact that I'm known as like a tequila guy on TikTok, but I also do want to share more, like cocktails. I don't want all my videos to just be reviewing tequilas. I want to talk about cocktails. I want to talk about whiskey. I want to talk about rum. I want to talk about gin. So I do want to have like an emphasis on agave spirits, but all-rounded craft spirits content, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm the same sometimes, because I want to do some of the stuff that I do with my consulting and my podcast and stuff. And then I'm like, no, everybody just wants to see me do cocktails in a minute. And they just want to see me bang out a cocktail in a minute. Right? Do you do all your content per day, or do you do big blocks of it? Because people always ask me how I do my content. And for me, I just go in and do like a block of 8 videos in one afternoon, and then I just roll that out over the week.
I've been trying to do that. That's part of my wife organizing my my life.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to because for me it's a little hard, because I love making like cocktail videos, because for me it's just an easier thing. But when I'm talking about a brand, or I'm talking about like reviewing something, I kind of have to write a script so I don't mess anything up. You know what I mean? So and I have to research yes, some brands I know, but some brands I have to research these things, so I'm not just speaking out of my ass on TikTok. So that takes a little bit of time. So what I'm trying to do is like, I'll write scripts and I'll research on Monday, I shoot and edit on Tuesday, and then I do everything else I need to do throughout the week. So Monday and Tuesdays are usually like my filming content researching days.
Yeah, it's been weird because I don't do any editing. I literally just do the video and then just go chop up.
Yeah.
And I've done a few edited long ones, and again, people just don't click with them the same way. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to TikTok, and I really hope more brands get on board with it, because although brands really don't understand social media at all in general, I've seen a lot of like Instagram bartenders who have like hundreds of thousands of followers do a TikTok account and then not really resonate at all. It's kind of crazy that certain things you do on TikTok it's not cut and paste over to Instagram, and vice versa. Like, you have a pretty video on Instagram. Instagram's about like pretty videos and like slow-mos and music, and then you put it over to TikTok and people are like, yeah, this is boring. They just want raw and authentic. They want absolutely unabashed and unedited. They just want it really as raw as possible.
That's so true. Yeah.
But man, thank you so much for your time. This was awesome. Congratulations on everything, man. Like, I feel the same as you do. Like, I never thought doing a few videos on TikTok would blow up the way that it did. But it's just, it's such an interesting platform, and the work you are doing for the agave spirits, because I think TikTok is way more macro in the way of like the way that the algorithm, and I have most of my followers are 30 something white females from the Midwest of the US, so it's crazy the depth and the breadth of the market you can hit in comparison to other platforms. So people actually drinking better tequila is something that's really cool.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks
So
for having me, man. This is so
no,
cool.
man, this
And
is
I
awesome.
love this friendship that we got because of TikTok. You know,
Because of TikTok.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that.
Me, you, and Nico is like literally because of TikTok. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And I feel like you guys are like, these teaching things that whenever I have questions about consulting or anything, I can reach out to you guys. So I appreciate
anytime,
that.
anytime. Well, man, have a good week. I really appreciate this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, man. See you soon.
Cheers, buddy.